स्वागत है आपका जी बिजनेस की खास पेशकश अपॉइंटमेंट में आज हम बात करेंगे आईटी सेक्टर के बारे में और इस पर अधिक जानकारी देने के लिए आज के हमारे खास मेहमान हैं टेक महिंद्रा की सीएफओ संजय आनंद। सर स्वागत है आपका अपॉइंटमेंट में। सर सबसे पहले हम आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, आई मीन यू आर देयर इन द आईटी इंडस्ट्री सिंस सो लॉन्ग, यू हैव द एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ मोर देन 7-8 years. आई वुड लाइक टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट हाउ हैज योर जर्नी बीन विद टेक महिंद्रा। आपने आईटी सेक्टर को किस तरह से देखा है, किस उतार चढ़ाव का आपने सामना किया और आज आईटी सेक्टर किस हालात में खड़ा है?
Well, overall, it's been a very exciting journey. If you look at Tech Mahindra, 7 years back, it was a $150 to $200 million company. Today, Tech Mahindra by itself has a run rate in excess of $1 billion. And if you add Satyam, post our acquisition of that company, we are close to a $2.5 billion company. So this industry has seen tremendous growth, and within that, Tech Mahindra has seen fantastic growth during these 7 or 8 years. And therefore, it has been a very exciting time. In terms of ups and downs, of course there are ups and downs. No industry is completely immune to what happens globally, and we have had a couple of serious dislocations internationally, and those have certainly given us difficult times. But on the whole, for a company with the kind of capabilities that Tech Mahindra has, its focus and its drive to deliver to its customers, there has been a lot of opportunity, and I am confident that in the future also there will be a lot of opportunity.
How are you using your financial capabilities to deal with the current crisis which is happening in US and Eurozone? Automatically it is impacting on the IT sector a lot.
Well, if you look at the current problems that there are in the US and Europe, these have kind of escalated in the last 6 to 8 weeks, and therefore it is somewhat early days to look at the more medium-term implications of that. The first signs that we have seen are, of course, the volatility in the currency has increased a lot more. With the dollar getting stronger in the short term, that has moved in our favor. It certainly helps our margins to have a stronger dollar. The other thing that we are beginning to see is obviously people in terms of decision making are tending to slow down. Beyond that, what the implications are going to be, we will have to wait and watch. Of course, one thing we must remember is that not only for Tech Mahindra, but for others in the Indian IT sector, the exposure to the peripheral European countries like Greece or Portugal, or even those countries which people suspect that at the secondary level could get impacted, like Spain and Italy, is very marginal.
But looking at the scenario all over the world now, the focus has been also shifted from traditional market to Greece and South Asian markets. But what I want to understand is, I mean, are you how are the contracts going on? Are you getting the big deals like you used to get a year ago?
Well, the way I would say is that post the Lehman crisis, I think discretionary spend really hasn't picked up. All of us have been waiting for the time, and if you had asked me 2 or 3 months back, I would have said perhaps at the back end of this year discretionary spend will pick up. However, given recent events, I think I will now have to say that we will have to wait for a while to be clear as to when that discretionary spend will come back. Beyond that, as I said, it's early days, and at the moment difficult to say whether anything more significant will happen. If you ask me for my personal assessment, I do not think the implications for the IT sector will be as acute as they were post-Lehman crisis, because in that crisis, one particular customer vertical was very, very badly impacted, and the rest of global economy was also impacted pretty severely because liquidity froze, availability of funds became extremely tight. While we will certainly going to see some dislocation this time as well, it is not there isn't any reason to believe that our business will be impacted as much as it was at that time.
But how is the pricing looking as of now? Are you seeing any change in the pricing, or what are the contracts? I mean, the ticket size. I mean, have you seen some changes in it, or are you just reducing the cost?
So, as an industry, we are very focused on optimizing our costs. Nothing new in that. We continue to do that. In terms of pricing, I would say by and large the situation at the moment continues to be stable. Whether it will change significantly, I think is dependent on the level of dislocation that is ultimately going to happen on a global scale. If a solution is found which kind of smoothens the landing, I don't think any solution is possible which is going to wish away these problems. So pain is going to continue for quite a while. However, it is possible for countries and groups of countries to do the right thing, which will allow a smoother glide path or trajectory for the correction of these problems, in which case we will not see any major impact as far as pricing from the sectors.
One more thing which I would like to understand from you on the same topic is that rupee and dollar, since you elaborated it, but I just need to have just some more details, that the rupee is sometimes decreasing, now it's increasing, it's fluctuating. So how do you look at it?
Managing the volatile currency is one of the key challenges that this sector has seen for the last 2 or 3 years. Fundamentally, nothing much can be done about what is going to happen in currency movement. All that we can do as managers of these business is to use hedging as an effective tool to mitigate that volatility. Ultimately, if the rupee in the long term continues to appreciate, our margins to some extent will be impacted. There is no escaping that. However, where there is volatility, that volatility can be mitigated through an effective hedging strategy. What has happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks is that the dollar has strengthened very significantly. Of course, a stronger dollar is supportive of our margins because we do the bulk of our business globally. Again, my personal assessment is the dollar going to remain so strong over an extended period? Looks unlikely at the moment.
संजय, इसी बात पे लेते हैं एक छोटा सा ब्रेक और मिलते हैं ब्रेक के बाद संजय बने हुए हमारे साथ। के बाद स्वागत है आपका, संजय बने हुए हमारे साथ। संजय, हम आपसे अभी टेलीकॉम सेक्टर के बारे में जानना चाहेंगे। पहले बात करते हैं बीटी के, ब्रिटिश टेलीकॉम पे, जहां पे आपका मेजर स्टेक है। क्या बीटी, ब्रिटिश टेलीकॉम, इज स्टिल अ मेजर कंट्रीब्यूटर टू योर रेवेन्यू?
Even today, last quarter, if you look, BT was 40% of our revenue, so they remain a very important customer for us. Again, taking you back to the discussion we were having, if you look at the journey over the last 6 to 7 years, our business with BT also has grown. It has grown about to 2.5 times what it used to be then. However, our non-BT business has grown even more aggressively, as a result of which the total company has grown so significantly. In fact, even if you look at the last 3 years, when generally growth for companies servicing the telecom sector has been slow, our non-BT business has continued to grow at a CAGR which is in the low 20s.
There is a assumption in the market that BT wants to sell its stake to private equities or something. By any chance, if they give you an opportunity, will you be interested to buy more stake in BT?
Firstly, I really cannot comment on what BT wants to do or doesn't want to do with their stake. But Tech Mahindra as a company cannot buy BT stake.
And how is the telecom sector doing at present? And since telecom is one of the major client for you?
In fact, Tech Mahindra as a company is focused only on telecoms. Our non-telecom footprint comes through the Mahindra Satyam acquisition. As far as telecom is concerned, what we've seen not only now but for the last couple of years is a low level of discretionary spend. So within that, of course, as I said, Tech Mahindra's growth has been good.
Sir, recently you had an Zen deal with Bharti Airtel. Bharti has also operations in other countries like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. If you get an opportunity, or are you trying to be with them in those countries as well?
Well, we are always open to doing business in all geographies. At this point of time, the big leap we have taken with Bharti is to go with them into Africa, and we are very optimistic about the long-term opportunities that is going to provide us.
So one of the major highlight or headline story of Tech Mahindra and Mahindra Satyam is the merger. Everybody is expecting or awaiting for the wedding. So last time we had heard that the 5th May or May 2012 will be the deadline. Will you stick to that deadline, or will you just trying to reduce the time frame and going to do it little early?
I think we have never indicated a deadline. What has been said right from the day when the acquisition was made, that the ultimate conclusion through the initiative to buy Mahindra Satyam is to merge the two companies. What we have said more recently is that with developments and progress in the various things we wanted to achieve in Mahindra Satyam, it is likely to be sooner rather than later. The final date when the merger process starts is a decision which only the boards of the two companies can take, and as and when they look at it, we'll surely share it with you.
Can you give us any time frame? And the second thing is, what are the hurdles? What are the exactly issues you are facing right now?
No, I think the bulk of the issues that were, kind of slowing down our move towards the merger have been dealt with. As I said, the only thing, the key thing now is for the two boards to look at it and decide on what time frame they want to move forward. And I really cannot second guess and indicate a date. It is really the board's prerogative to do that.
संजय, इसी बात पे लेते एक छोटा सा ब्रेक. हम लौटते एक ब्रेक के बाद संजय बने हुए हमारे साथ. ब्रेक के बाद स्वागत है आपका. संजय बने हुए हमारे साथ. हम अधिक जानते हैं टेक महिंद्रा के बारे में. सर, हम आपसे जानना चाहेंगे कि फिलहाल अट्रिशन रेट कैसा है और आप वेजेस दे रहे हो. हाउ आर द हायरिंग गोइंग ऑन?
Attrition rates have come off from the peak when they had gone into the high 20s. Certainly attrition rates have fallen, and I think that is a reflection of a couple of things. Firstly, last year the entire IT industry and the environment in which people were operating was really heated up. There were, I think, growth exceeded the expectations of a number of players, and therefore the demand for people had become very intense. Obviously, the cooling off of the global economic environment has also contributed to this. All said and done, I think today attrition rates are at a much lower level than what they've been in the past. As far as what implication this current situation will have for salary levels next year, I think it is too early to say. But one thing is true, that no industry can sustain multi-year, double-digit salary increases for all time to come.
But just to preparing yourself to remain better in the industry, are you cautious while hiring the people or taking more people on the board, looking at the crisis going on in the European and US country?
As a policy, our approach has always been not to create a very large bench. We tend to try and hire people as we need them. This strategy has mostly worked well for us. Sometimes it can also be a disadvantage, but on the whole it has worked well for us, and we continue to follow that.
What is your take on the Indian IT sector? We understand that IT sector is growing, but what happens is whenever there is any bad news, market fluctuates according to sensitivity and all, and we can see the major change in the IT sectors, IT companies stock. What is exactly your take on the IT sector? Do you think that it is really growing, and growing then what percent?
Well, I can talk for my own company. I think there is both for Tech Mahindra and with Tech Mahindra and Mahindra Satyam combined, as we look forward, we can see significant opportunities. In terms of the stock market, I think you understand it better than we do. Our focus is to run the business well, and then the interpretation of the stock market is something we have to live with.
How is your book looking like?
We are, there are a number of opportunities that we are in front of at the moment, and let us see which of them get converted. As and when they do, we will certainly announce them.
So one more thing which I want to understand from you is, since of course IT companies' major clients are, US best or Europe best, or you can say the foreign best, and still Indian market is not that picked up. Do you think that Indian market also needs to grow, and IT companies also should have some clients in India?
I think India is already a big market and will continue to grow, and I can certainly again talk for our company. We look at every opportunity that comes in India, and as long as it makes economic sense for us, we try very hard to get that business.
So as you mentioned, that telecom is one of the big sector for you. The thing is, in India we can see the 2G scam is going on. Lots of things are happening. In a way, the worst things are happening in telecom sector. The people are getting into jails and all. How do you look at the future of telecom companies? By any chance, are you thinking of changing your business strategy or focus from telecom to some other stuff, other sector?
Tech Mahindra as a company is focused on telecom. However, with the acquisition of Mahindra Satyam, we now have a complete footprint across other verticals. As far as telecom industry itself is concerned, we serve the global telecom sector. Yes, there have been some events in the Indian telecom sector which have been disruptive, but again, if you stand back away from these incidents and see that fundamentally is the demand from customer for telecom service in India growing, it continues to grow. And if you look at the picture globally, this decade is going to be the decade of data, and enabling that data and providing people better access to information is going to create a lot of opportunities for both telecom companies and for people who service them. So I'm optimistic about the medium and long-term potential from telecom.
BT is one of the major contributor, but by any chance are you also now trying to focus on non-BT sector and trying to enhance the capability of non-BT sector?
Well, as I told you, our strategy for the last 7 years has been to grow our business with all customers, and within BT our business till recently was growing. Non-BT has consistently grown ahead of BT, and in fact outperformed the market significantly.
Since you mentioned my first question, but still, just a small clarification, what are the deals happening right now? Are it, all these deals are for the longer term or the short term? How is it happening?
No, I think as always there is a mix of business. There are some businesses which are for multi-year long-term deals, and there are others which are for the more immediate future. There are some business opportunities with new greenfield operators in some countries, and those tend to be around either build, operate and manage. So I don't think there is a single definition of the kind of opportunities that are in the market.
And finally, and the last question, you have mentioned about Tech Mahindra and Mahindra Satyam's waiting or the merger, but still, can you give us some sense like what will be the swap ratio?
No, I think I can neither talk about a time frame nor give you any indication of the swap ratio, for the simple reason that the time frame is something, there are two aspects to the time frame. The first one is for the boards to take a view that the merger process is going to move forward, and then there is the Indian regulatory environment has a pretty robust process which takes its own time, and it is difficult to predict what period it will take. I can say one thing, that typically a merger should be done within 6 to 7 months of its starting. However, there are cases which take longer, so cannot prejudge how long it will take. And in terms of the swap ratio, I think once the boards have looked at it, independent valuers and merchant bankers will look at it, and only on that basis can a swap ratio be determined. I can certainly not give any, I don't have a clue as to what it's going to be.
Okay, thank you very much Sanjay for talking to us on Appointment Zee Business. Thank you very much. तो ये थे मिस्टर संजय आनंद, CFO टेक महिंद्रा, जिन्होंने काफी सारी जानकारी दी है टेक महिंद्रा IT सेक्टर के बारे में. आप देखते रहिए अपॉइंटमेंट ज़ी बिजनेस, आपका फायदा.